Welcome to episode 779 of Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm sharing experiences, true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, which is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows. Also, please check out the links in every episode description to friends of the show, Jen, the Arcane Observer, her own link tree there, and then also Michael Strange and the Trouble Minds radio show and network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear shows of mine and many others 24/7. And I think that takes care of everything for now. Just a quick reminder, I do have a merchandise store now. And so those links can also be found in the episode description and on the website. And we have some shirts up there. And so yeah, just if you're looking for something new to wear and you want to support the show, that is an option now. So and I have I just recently ordered one of the shirts, and it is actually very comfortable. So it seems like they do well with this website. Bonfire is the name of the service. They seem to be pretty good so far. I haven't had any major complaints yet. So and there will be more things later on as soon as I feel up to going back in there and working with more things, more items, that kind of stuff. Cups and hats and whatever other options there are that are there. We'll get that going eventually. All right, I think that takes care of everything. Yeah, I just want to mention that because I just recently got the shirt, and it really is amazing to have something with your own logo on it. It's pretty surreal. But anyway, let's get to these true stories here. Yes, and thank you, Sweets, for sharing that link in the chat. Also, everyone, if you check out every episode description, you will find a link, I believe, in the episode description, at the very least in social media, for the Discord server. And if you want to be here for the live recordings of the shows, those are usually every Monday and Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern in my Discord server. So that way you can listen live and interact with the other people in chat. Sometimes people will share images related to the topics of the shows, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun to be part of a group like that online. Yeah, and when Discord works, it is really amazing. So anyway, let's get to these true stories here, and get that going. So this one says, I was 9 or 10 years old when I moved to a new home in the southwest of the UK with my mom. On my first day at a new school, I attended an assembly in the school hall. The school was located about 500 meters away from a major naval base that housed nuclear submarines and large naval vessels. During the assembly, my mind wandered, and I looked out the window at the cloudy sky around 9 a.m. As the clouds shifted and thinned, I spotted a large, triangular, dark, and metallic object in the sky. The object was motionless, with 3 distinct points, clean edges, and a presence that felt strange. I thought it might be a satellite or military equipment, but it seemed too low and clear to be in space. I asked aloud, "Is that normal?" and was nudged by the kid next to me to be quiet. When I looked back up, the clouds had rolled back in, and the object was gone. I didn't see the object fly away or vanish. It simply disappeared. The experience has stuck with me ever since, leaving me with a vivid memory of the shape, silence, and feeling that I had seen something I wasn't supposed to. My experience could be chalked up to a child's imagination, but I am certain that I saw something unusual. And that's where that one ends. That's an amazing sighting. I always wonder now when it comes to all these sightings of things in the sky, how much technology do people have now to where they can make people feel different things? Because if they have that, then I guess you could rule out a lot of sightings of anything in the sky, because if that kind of technology exists, then, and if people just get a feeling, but there's no direct, I guess, telepathic contact of any kind, then it could be made by people. But either way, that's still amazing that they had that sighting. And I wonder too, did they have that sighting because they weren't focused on what was going on in their room, in the school there, in the gym? If anyone else would have looked up, would they have seen it? I don't know, but and I've heard over the years that anytime there's anything in the sky, it's usually made by people, and I do think that's always possible. But also, I feel like at this point, just to say that it's automatically the case every time, to me that doesn't seem right, based on the reports of how quickly so many other things that people see, how quickly they can move, how fast they can vanish and appear, change shape, become light, become solid, become light as in visual, become solid objects, all these different things. I don't know. I feel like there's definitely a lot of stuff out there that people have made, but also I just don't feel like we can rule out other things from others as well, from aliens, whatever aliens may be. And as I always say, alien to me just means unfamiliar or unknown. So that could mean extraterrestrial, but that could also mean interdimensional, coming from some other level of reality, and or that could mean something coming from beneath our feet, and or out in the water, all the bodies of water that are out there in the world. So a lot of possibilities there to me. Too many to just rule them out as all being made by people. That's just my thought. I don't really know anything for sure, but I definitely feel that very, very strongly based on everything I've read and heard, and many of my own experiences as well, where it did feel like there was telepathic contact. Oops, sorry. So my eyes are irritated, and so every so often I feel like I have to itch around part of them, and then yeah, I bump into the microphone when I do that. So I guess I should not do that. Anyway, moving on to the next one here, and sorry for everyone that hears the heater turning on. I live in Michigan, and it's still not quite summer weather yet. So anyway, moving on to the next one here. This says, I have had some strange things happen in my home. Cabinet doors have shut on their own. On a security video, you can hear someone whispering our dog's name, causing the dog to pay attention. But it's what happened tonight that has me wondering what is going on. I felt someone sit on the end of my bed next to my feet while I was laying down. It shifted as if getting comfortable. When I was about to look, the presence got up and left. I am convinced that I felt a physical presence, but it all seems so crazy. I finally told my boyfriend about this. He said that he has had similar experiences, describing it as a non threatening presence. Is it possible to capture evidence of a spirit on camera? I'm just wondering if it could be done to verify this recent experience. And that's where that one ends. Um, it's amazing how many accounts there are of things that happen in and around bedrooms and in and around or on beds. Uh, and again, like the writer's boyfriend there said, it didn't feel threatening. So it almost makes me wonder, is that a spirit, or is that, again, some weird kind of time overlap, time anomaly where there was someone that was sitting on the bed, whether it was even the writer themselves from another point in time, uh, or their boyfriend, but they were just getting the physical sensation of the bed and seeing the bed push down and then lift up again when whoever it was got up and went away. I don't know, but that seems possible. Or it could be, again, as always, it could be a spirit or a soul or consciousness that's somehow still there. That's has some kind of physical presence somehow. And it could be that they wanted to get the writer's attention or the writer and their boyfriend's attention. But also, I always wonder with these things when they happen, is whoever is there, are they even aware that there's others there? Do they even know that there's others around them when they do these things? Are they just going about daily life, regular life, doing things, and somehow they're having effects on in a different level of reality than where they're at? I don't know, but that always seems possible to me, especially with so many accounts. I've heard so many similar accounts of people saying I felt the bed move and looked and there was no one there, but I could see a depression in the bed, like someone was sitting down, and then they just got up, like they were resting there for a minute, or they were doing something. Who knows, brushing their hair, whatever. Um, as far as what the invisible someone was doing, who knows? And then they just got up and left. So, and of course, I can definitely imagine it being very frightening. The one time I had an experience with someone sitting on the bed next to me while I was asleep in a couch bed, I was definitely startled. I've shared that story before, and it's part of a larger story, but I'll just go over it real quick. Um, when I first moved into this apartment, I had a couch bed that was out here in the living room, and sometimes I would unfold it and sleep out here or lay down out here and listen to a TV show or DVD or whatever. And this is before I sort of decided to make my living room my bedroom, and permanently. And so I fell asleep one day after getting home from running errands, and I put on a DVD back when DVDs were still the latest thing, and I fell asleep. Well, at some point while I was laying there, I felt the bed depress, and I felt like someone leaned against the side of my leg. I actually felt these things, which I don't usually feel things, actual contact like that. That is one of the rare. I'm trying to think if there's ever been any other. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if there's ever been any other experience where I felt something physically. That might be the only one. Uh, anyway, and I started to wake up, and I mumbled something like, "Who's there?" And I heard a early teenage girl's voice, maybe even barely teenager, laugh, a kind laugh, just a happy laugh, and say, "How can there be anyone here when you've double locked the door?" Which I had done before I laid down. And I woke up the rest of the way and sat up. And as I was sitting up, I was opening my eyes. And as I sat up, I felt the pressure on my leg and on the bed go away. And by the time I sat up and had my eyes open, there was no one there. And there was no sound of anyone leaving. This place is relatively small. There's no way that anyone could have gotten out of here without me hearing them leave the rest of the way. And this was before Logan. Not that, as far as I know, Logan can talk like a teenage girl. That's my cat. Logan is my cat, anyway, for those that don't know. And this is before I had her, anyway, like I said. So it was a startling experience to have that physical sensation. So, but again, I never felt anything bad or evil or negative from this, what seemed like a spirit of a young girl. And if you go back into all my shows from before, probably a few years back, you can find my shows where I shared as many of my experiences as I could remember on them. And you can find that whole sequence of experiences I had involving that this was part of. So for anyone that's interested. So yeah, it is amazing when you have that actual physical sense of something moving and or something even moving against you. Moving on, now that I've rambled on about that for a while, moving on to the next one here. Let's see. This one says, when I was 6 years old, my siblings, my 6-year-old twin brother and our brother, who was 13 years old, along with our 12-year-old cousin, went to play in the woods near my aunt's house. My cousin and I wandered a bit further into the woods and found a small cave. My brothers started throwing acorns at us from an old shack. My aunt called for us, and we started heading back to the boys. A blonde boy, about our age, wearing a light blue shirt and dark pants, appeared behind my twin brother. I asked my cousin who the boy was, but she denied seeing anyone. I now live in my childhood home with my sister-in-law and brother. One night, my sister-in-law woke up from a nightmare and told me about it. In the nightmare, a blonde boy appeared at the door, and she let him in, after which he ran toward me. I immediately thought of the boy I saw in the woods 13 years ago. My sister-in-law confirmed that the boy in her nightmare was wearing a light blue shirt and dark pants. Did the blonde boy follow my twin brother home 13 years ago? Has he been around all this time? I don't know what to make of the boy's reappearance and my sister-in-law's nightmare and its connection to my own childhood experience. That's where that one ends. Either of those things alone could definitely be odd. But the two things happening, the sister-in-law, I imagine, unless the sister-in-law, the brother, so the husband of the sister-in-law, told her about the boy, but then no, that wouldn't work because the writer's brother never saw this kid. The only one, and the cousin didn't either. So the only one that saw this child was the writer until he reappeared in someone else's dream. That to me is a really wild experience. And I'm wondering if the sister-in-law considered it a nightmare just because she was worried that the kid was maybe trying to attack the writer in their dream. I don't know, but it sounds like just a visitation of some kind. But then the obvious question is why and how. I guess obvious questions. Um, how did that happen, and why was he back there? Was he looking for her somehow? I don't know, but that is just the sighting of a figure like that in the woods as it is alone. It's it's interesting enough on its own, but then you have that connection. I thought that was a really wild experience, and something you don't often hear a ton of stories about, experiences where there are visitations of what seem to be spirits in dreams that are not related to the individuals having the dream. Uh, I've had many visitations from loved ones that have passed on, and I've heard of so many other accounts of similar things. But this doesn't sound like that. They didn't know the boy. So let's get one more story in here before we end the episode. This one says, my friend and I snuck out of my house at 3 a.m. one day. I don't know why. We walked around our small town and not expecting anything unusual to happen. As we got tired, we went to the closest open shop to buy energy drinks. Makes perfect sense, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, on our way back, we decided to take a shortcut through an alleyway near the main road. While in the alleyway, we saw a ghost-like figure that was on fire riding a white horse. We turned around to see the figure, looked at each other in shock, froze in the moment, and then ran back to my house. The experience has haunted me ever since. Has anyone else had a similar experience? Have you ever heard a story like this? And that's where that one ends. I've heard of people saying that certain apparitions look like they're shifting, or there's energy or light flowing out from around them. I wonder if that's what the writer and their friend, if it just looked like fire, but it was really just light coming out from the figure. I don't know, but that is a wild one, and to see a figure and a horse, which I've heard of a few accounts of that before, apparitions where it's not just a human figure, but it's a human figure riding a horse. But the fact that the human figure was on fire, and that's really odd. Yeah, Matt Sol in the chat says, then I looked and saw a pale green horse. Its rider's name was Death. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just wondering, was this figure somehow appearing? I don't know. Did they die in a fire? Were they? And there's so many questions to that. Or was it just light or energy coming off of this figure, making the writer and their friend think it looked like fire? There's no way to know, but that is quite the encounter to have, and especially in the middle of a town, and in the middle of a morning like that. I would really be curious about the history of the area to know what happened. So, as far as if there's any kind of local account of something happening where someone was on fire for some terrible reason. Anyway, thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.